Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
May 16, 2021, the $120 million non-payment edition. And we begin with that lead story from the Wall Street Journal as former CBS chief Les Moonves agrees to forego a $120 million settlement with Viacom CBS. The former CBS chief was denied a severance package following his resignation in 2018 for sexual harassment claims that were made against him when he was chairman of and CEO of CBS Corp. He was denied his severance after a CBS board concluded that he had violated company policies, breached his employment contract, and intentionally failed to fully cooperate with the investigation. Moonves had challenged the company's decision and had filed an arbitration against CBS. CBS somehow convinced Moonves to withdraw this claim, and so it's not a clawback, but it's certainly a non-payment. Next up, it appears AT&T's merger with Time Warner, or purchase of Time Warner, has not worked out as it had planned, as CBS is now in advanced talks to merge its media business, including CNN, with Discovery, Inc. The plan would incorporate all of AT&T's Warner Media assets, including HBO and Warner Brothers, together with Discovery, which has a strong lineup of reality-based cable channels, including the HGTV, the Food Network, and Animal Planet. So it once again shows the merger would be an about face for AT&T, the telecommunications giant. It appears that the spinoff is the result of a failed acquisition strategy. One commentator said AT&T didn't know what they were buying. The strategy underpinning the acquisition was probably flawed. Well, that's certainly an understatement. From the BBC, it reports that the Gupta empire is now facing a UK fraud probe over Greensill. The probe is over suspected fraudulent trading and money laundering, including its financing arrangements with the failed company Greensill Capital. As the company's reliance on Greensill has caused many to worry that itself may be at risk, but now the Serious Fraud Office has opened an investigation into Gupta's metal-based empires and could have serious consequences even before any evidence is heard. The government has promised to save the steel plants, but without the funding from Greensill, it's unclear whether that will actually happen. And our final story comes to us from the Wall Street Journal, Risk and Compliance Journal, Michael Dabay, reporting the U.S. Justice Department is entering in a deferred prosecution agreement with Swiss Life. The DOJ said it had charged Swiss Life with conspiring with U.S. taxpayers and others to conceal insurance policies and related policy investment accounts in banks around the world, which generated income for which these people did not pay taxes. The DPA requires Swiss Life to refrain from further criminal conduct, enhance remedial measures, continue to cooperate with the government into further investigations into these investments. Swiss Life also agreed to pay $77.3 million as well. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.